Hello, old sport. Johnny Torch with you again. We haven't had a news roundup in a couple of weeks, as there really hasn't been a ton of stuff I felt the need to address, but there's been a couple of things we could touch on, so here we go. Reshoots are currently underway for Star Wars Rogue One. It's being rumored that up to 40% of the movie is being reshot. I don't think there's much to be concerned about. I mean, practically every franchise film goes back for reshoots these days. Supposedly the reshoots are to make it tonally more like A New Hope, and if that's the case, then I'm all for it. I really don't want this to be as grim as it's reportedly set out to be. I have no problem with it being a little darker than the other films, but it needs to be fun. That's what Star Wars is supposed to be, fun. It can't be all war and death. Well, we'll see how it turns out. The latest rumor from the mill has Oscar winner Brie Larson close to signing as Carol Danvers in the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. I don't really know too much about her. My top pick for the role is still Yvonne Strahovski. I remember Yvonne saying she was in talks with Marvel for something, but it was pretty top secret. I hope she's involved in the MCU at some point at any rate. I really hope they don't give Carol that ugly hairdo that she has in the comics. Obviously, I wish they would just stick with her traditional Miss Marvel costume. But I'm sure they'll go with yet another generic catsuit like every other Marvel heroine has. At least DC tries to mix it up a little. I'm hoping that they introduce the original Captain Marvel in this film before Carol takes over. I'm not too well versed in their lore, but he seems a pretty important character to just leave out. Flash! Ah! He's got a new director! Rick Famuyiwa, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, is going to take over from Seth Grahame-Smith, who wrote the film before leaving over the dreaded creative differences. I don't know, I'm still not jazzed about this film. Ezra Miller looked nothing like the Flash to me in Batman vs. Superman. I really would have preferred they just use Grant Gustin in the role. He's already perfect on the TV series. Which leads us to the perfect segue for our next story. In a move similar to Chloe Bennett criticizing her Marvel overlords from distancing themselves from her show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Willa Holland, who plays Thea Queen, aka Speedy on Arrow, made news by having some critical words of her own for the powers that be, and why they have this ridiculous separate universe crap between the TV shows and films, which prevents the TV actors portraying their characters in the film versions, and including the embargo of characters being on TV the same time as the movies. It really makes no sense for WB to continue to do this when their TV division has thus far run rings around any of their cinematic attempts. So more Ragnarok news out there for all you Hulkamaniacs out there. Rumors abound that the film will contain elements of Planet Hulk, meaning Hulk will likely fight in an arena, much like in that story. I've never been particularly fond of that story, but if that's the extent of the similarities, then I'll be fine with it. They're also saying Thor's head will be shaved for this movie. Say it ain't so! What's Goldilocks without his trademark mane? Joe Quesada has said on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman that Marvel once again owns the film rights to the Submariner, aka Prince Namor. The rights were previously thought to be owned by Universal, though some claim Fox owns the rights as part of their FF package. Could Namor be swimming his way into the MCU? Personally, I'd rather they use him as part of the Fantastic Four, but we still have no word on Marvel getting the rights back to Fantastic Four yet, despite Marvel granting Fox the rights to a pair of live-action X-Men series. Which ties into our final story of the day. Fox's FX has ordered 10 episodes of the X-Men spin-off Legion, about Professor X's schizophrenic son from the comics. Apparently the series will take place in a parallel universe from the films in a world where mutants are just being discovered by the government. No versions of the classic X-Men are expected to appear. Dan Stevens is set to play the titular character along with a cast including Aubrey Plaza, Gene Smart, and Mr. Noodle himself, Bill Irwin. Legion is set to air sometime early next year. But I'll give it a chance, I suppose. Well, I've got quite a lot of work in front of me for the foreseeable future. I'm going to continue with my comic book TV series countdown for this season, which should take me the better part of the summer. I'm in the middle of my Daredevil Season 2 review. Some of you that have seen my review of Season 1 might remember I wasn't so keen on it, so you'll have to wait and see if my opinion on the show is improved for this season. I also want to get out my reviews for the recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie and its sequel fairly soon. Plus, I'll probably do something on the new Voltron show that's set to come out in a few days. So it looks like I've got my summer booked. How are you guys enjoying your summer? Let me know in the comments. And be sure to check out my review for X-Men Apocalypse, by the way. Remember to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And once again, this is Johnny Torch reminding you, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.